What I bring is counterintuitive survival skills. People think Amazon survival skills, okay, will be better competitors, you know, like we'll take the competition down, we'll outsmart them, we'll eliminate them, we'll destroy them, which is the old thinking in Darwinian terms of what survival, which is totally wrong. Now, when I say totally wrong, you know, I'm saying I have the authority not because I was lost for 3 weeks, because I came back there on the same river and lived there for 3 years. I lived in the Amazon for 3 years with the indigenous peoples that saved my life, came back, lived with them, and we built together a resort that transformed the entire area. I'm telling both stories. So I'm telling the first about my survival alone, and then how I came back, and together with the indigenous people. The story is a repetition of certain themes, a naive dream. You know, my first adventure was a naive dream. I wanted to be a great explorer, find tribes, marry the daughter of the chief, and treasures of gold. But what's good about a naive dreamer, as opposed to intelligent, skeptic, cynical, experienced dreamer, that the other one will never go after the dream because they know it's impossible. The naive dreamer will go after it. And when you don't know something is impossible, it's not impossible. The second story is about these indigenous people that basically I come to visit them to thank them for saving my life, and they're saying our life is in danger now. The youth are leaving the village and never coming back because in the jungle town there's progress and they don't want to live ancestral lives. They want progress. And our idea is to save our youth and save our village by building a resort. So tourists will come from all over the world, and our youth will go and build a resort and be the guides and the cooks and the motormen. And this is an impossible thing because it's so remote from civilization and there's no resources to do that. But they don't know that. So why would I spoil it for them, telling them they're naive? So I join them and stay with them for 3 years. And with that naivete, we do unbelievable things. First of all, I had this realization. The realization comes when I start learning about the Amazon, and I realize that in one article that I read, that the economic value of renewable resources is greater than the economic value of non-renewable resources. When I read this article, I really have an enlightenment, because what it means is that saving the forest is a better business. It's not better for humanity, for future generation. It's not about the water. It's not about the lungs of the planet. It's not about our responsibility. The land doesn't belong to us. We belong to the land. No, it's about making more money. If we preserve the Amazon, we make more money. It's simply better business. And so when I understood that, I wrote a 3-pager and I flew to Washington, D.C. to raise money. I was so well connected in Washington, D.C., for one single reason. I found the yellow pages in the phone booth. That's, you know? So I made calls from the yellow pages, and one organization agreed to meet me. It was the Inter-American Development Bank. I come to meet them. That's my first meeting in Washington, D.C. And I start telling them about this idea. And I swear this is like word by word what I tell you is a true story. Within 10 minutes, the head of the department comes to the room, listens to me, and saying, Mr. Ghinsberg, one thing you have to commit right now, that you're not talking with any other organization. It took me a minute to understand what he's saying. They needed the idea much more than I needed the money. Not only that, he said, we cannot give you that money that you're asking, because in my naivete, I wrote that we need a $250,000 grant. They said, we are the small loan department. We cannot give less than $1.5 million. I got $1.5 million US dollars in one meeting. My first and only meeting in Washington, D.C., and I only asked for $250,000. A professional will never do it. A professional will never stand in a phone booth with put quotas from the yellow pages, you know? The bank was so keen. They were so keen about the project. They wanted to secure it. They wanted to give the money, but I was just a guy. Like, I was Yossi Ghinsberg, you know, nothing else. Like, I have no history, I'm not a professional in this field, I have no background. They couldn't give me the money. I had no legal entity to receive the money. And there was nobody else. So keen that they were, they gave the money to the indigenous directly. This never happened. This was unprecedented. It changed the game. The indigenous people were financed directly by the Inter-American Development Bank with no NGO in the middle. Today, 120 other indigenous communities replicated Chalalan, what we built. We made this. Chalalan is still the most awarded resort, 20 years later, fully owned and operated by these indigenous people. So basically we have two stories, the story of a child, with a naive dream, and a story of a community with the naive dream.